Week 13 is a nice bold letter M. It's got a thick slab serif. We do have a little width variation, and this letter is very symmetrical if you do it a certain way. Normally, I prefer to draw one half and then duplicate it and flip it like you've seen me do in past lessons, but just to teach you some other Procreate functions and features, we're gonna use a drawing assist on this layer. So come up to your wrench icon, click Canvas, turn on Drawing Guide, and you can see usually we are using just the 2D grid and changing our size. This time you're gonna click Symmetry, and that is gonna help us draw something that's exactly the same on both sides. So I'll go ahead, all these settings are fine. All it does is change the thickness of your line or the opacity, how much you can see it. You can also change the color of that line here. If you don't like it black, you can make it blue or something like that. And you can see that this layer now has a little assisted underneath it. And now we know that that is turned off. To turn it, or turned on, I'm sorry. To turn it off, you could do it the same way we did before using the wrench icon, Canvas, and toggling off Drawing Guide, or you can just tap the layer and turn off Drawing Assist. If you want it back on, tap it again. And so to use this, again, I am on a monoline, and we are going to start in the middle just because of using this function. So we're gonna draw a slightly angled line, and you can see now it's drawing both lines at once. And I'm gonna have another one right about there. And I'm gonna let that line create by keeping my pencil down and just eyeballing it till they're about the same. And if you look at the center of our letter M, you can see that these parts are about double the width. So I'm just gonna eyeball that by coming here and down, trying to make it as straight as possible. And then again, here and down. I could probably even go a little thicker. So I'm gonna 2-finger tap to undo that and go a little more down. And I need to extend this line a wee bit to create my serif. So I'm just gonna tap and extend it. Oop, try to match it up. And then I'll draw a straight line this way, down here, and then over. And then again, I'll draw a rectangle down here. So I'm manually gonna do this instead of using quick shape. But can you see how the letter looks a little off and it's not really in the proportions I want? I mean, it's okay, but it's not great. And I just feel like, for my brain at least, drawing it this way is harder. So I rarely use this symmetry tool, but I wanted to show you that it exists. And even when you do your touch-ups, if you do your touch-up on one, or what you do on one side, it's gonna, oop, am I not on the layer? I'm on the wrong layer. If I erase on this side, it's gonna erase on both sides. So if you get used to it, I could see it being useful. You could also turn off the drawing assist and then click your arrow tool, click freeform, and kind of make your letter more how you want it. Adjust the shape a bit there. And then you can use that as kind of your template to redraw it. So that would be a useful way to use it. Like I said, I prefer to just draw one side and duplicate it because I feel like I have a lot more control over how it looks that way. This works pretty well though as a basis for me to redraw the letter. So let's go ahead and work from that. So now we're gonna make sure drawing assist is off because we just wanna do it on our own. So I'll use that as my template and kind of change things a bit. So this side, I feel like it needs to be a bit thicker. So I know I can come up there and if you wanna make sure your lines are nice and straight, you could turn on the grid we've used in past weeks. I'm just gonna eyeball it this time. And you can see I'm holding down my pencil each time and letting that auto line, perfect line come up. And I can tell that this line is definitely not nearly thick enough. So what I'm gonna do is go back a few steps. I'll go ahead and do this again, but I need to make this leg of the letter way thicker. So if that's about that, that needs to be way over here, more like that. And now I can make that a little bigger. And the slab serif is really just like a rectangle that comes off of your letter. Well, that's not very straight. I should probably have my grid on to make it nice and straight. Again, though, we're going for hand-drawn letters and not necessarily perfect drawing or looking letters. And down here, I'm just gonna eyeball it again, try to kind of keep it centered, and then I'll draw a line the same length above it, come down on either side. And I will have some line cleaning up to do, but that gives me 1/2 of my shape. So here's where I would swipe left, duplicate, tap my arrow tool, and then click flip horizontal. I just drag it into place, but if you want it to really snap into place, you can click this snapping tool and try using magnetics and snapping to really, it'll kind of like, see, it gives you those guidelines and really snap into place. And now I am ready to merge those 2 layers down. So I will tap my top layer, click merge down. Don't really need my reference layer anymore, so you could either toggle it off or just get rid of it altogether. And then you can drag and drop. I'll click continue filling so I can just tap those in. And that looks much better to me. Again, I need to do a little cleaning up and line straightening, but I hope this lesson helps you see that symmetry can be useful sometimes, but if it doesn't work for you, it's okay. You can do it different ways. Sometimes if you were drawing maybe something like illustration wise, a butterfly that you wanted to be perfect with both wings, although in nature it wouldn't really be like that. But for drawing's sake, you know, or something that you really needed to be symmetrical, that feature of Procreate is really handy. Maybe if you're drawing a font and you want it to be really perfect. Again, I like mine to be slightly imperfect, and this is the method I would usually use. But now we've got our completed letter M, so we can, as per usual, tap our layer, click copy, come over to our template, click add, paste, make sure I'm on uniform down here. I'm gonna shrink my letter M down just a little. Oh, see how it's being weird? It's because I still have snapping on, so you just have to click snapping while you're on the arrow tool and turn off the magnetics and snapping. If you use that feature, which I do sometimes, I find myself turning it off and on quite a bit. All right, I'll just leave it about there for now. Sometimes when we add our other letters, we might want to adjust the size of these, but that is it for this week. We are coming right along. That was actually our halfway point. So we're officially halfway through this series, and I will see you next week for letter N.